Greetings, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Let's Get Gritty podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm thrilled to be here with you this week. I hope you've been gritty. Hope you are tackling those goals and setting new ones. If you've accomplished the goal, congratulations. I hope that you're able to achieve another milestone around the way. I know many of you are preparing for sporting events, also for different exams. You're taking on new tasks. So hats off to you. I wish you the best. Now, let's get into our show. First things first, the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White will be featured on all of my social media outlets, and it will also be featured on Spotify. I would like to invite you to follow me on social media. Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123, and TikTok is Dr. India White. Check out my website, www.india-white.com. If you're wanting a book, blog, or to schedule me for a speaking or coaching event, again, that's www.india-white.com. I also wanted to just let you guys know there are many upcoming events. This list does not show it all. In August, end of August, I'll be in Minnesota. So can't wait to see you guys there. Thank you so much to everyone at the Crescent Hoka School District for this opportunity. I'll also be at NCSM and NCTM. Also looking forward to ICTM, OCTM, and beyond. ATMNE and beyond. Also, make sure you're checking out when you get a chance the Grassroots Workshop on Grit. Just go to that website, Grassroots Workshops. That's a lot of S's.com. And type in grit. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Now, with that said, I want to also remind you guys I am launching the Grit Academy. This is online tutoring for your students. So if I don't care where you are in the world, I am willing to assist you. So get with me via email or whatnot. My email is scrolling down at the bottom, india.white.123@gmail.com if you're wanting some tutoring. Now, with that said, I now want to go into our show and I want to talk about grit. And I want to talk about gritty traits for our success. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because there's one thing to know what grit is, but then like, how do you build grit? Like, how do you recognize those traits and then, help those to evolve so that you could be successful in every area of your life. So we're going to talk about gritty traits. I will be highlighting, some different articles and things that I found amazing. So let's jump into it. So first things first, we know grit is defined as the passion, perseverance to obtain long-term goals by Dr. Duckworth. I also said that grit is having great resilience in time, because you need to have resilience, that passion and perseverance, but you need to set goals. You need to do it in a certain amount of time, because if not, you're going to be frustrated, right? Because you'll just be spinning your wheels. So with that said, let's get into this article I was able to find about perseverance. And so here it says the power of perseverance. It's unveiling the multifaceted role of grit in achieving a long-term goal of success. Or long-term success. Persistence is everything. Okay. Persisting, sticking with it. It's not giving up till you're done. Right. So it says here, the key points of this article, they say grit is a psychological trait that combines passion and perseverance, right, towards long-term goals. Now, listen, grit can also be accomplished with short-term goals. Actually, that's how it builds up into long-term goals, is because you're taking it into increments. But anyways, let's keep going. Grit involves brain areas linked to self-regulation, goal-oriented behavior, and emotional control. This is huge. And I think that as you keep yourself straight and you remain disciplined and you're willing to take a new risk, you're willing to, reset and try again. That's what's going to help you with being able to have that self-control and be able to, stick with your goals in a certain amount of time. Here it says students with higher grit levels tend to perform better academically. Again, students with higher grit levels, so not talent, not, IQ, students with higher grit levels tend to perform better academically. So we've got to figure out how to cultivate grit in our students. Then it says high levels of grit are associated with better mental health, lower anxiety, and a greater life satisfaction. Okay, great. Now let's keep going. So, what is grit? How is it measured? So, grit, it's measured through self-reported questionnaire assessing two components: consistency of interest, okay, and perseverance of effort. Again, consistency of interest and perseverance of effort. This is so powerful. You've got to figure out how to help someone use enough effort to persevere through a task to make it possible. There are some grit killers that I just want to kind of talk about. So, if you're trying to obtain a goal or a task, certain grit killers can be someone that is critical, someone that just does not just pulls you down personally, like not your work, but just you. Like maybe they have a bias or stereotypes or some racial situations. That is a grit killer. There's some grit killers in this world. Yes. If you're on a team and you're working with others and it's beyond your control of the timing or the setup or whatever, that can be a grit killer because you don't necessarily have control over that. If you are in a situation where your ideas are surrounded by all these overwhelming, burdensome other things, that can be a grit killer. Someone stealing your stuff, right? That can be a grit killer. So I just want you to know that many of you have also ran into grit killers. That does not mean that you don't have grit. You just have to heal, forgive, reset, and go again. I had an idea of a t-shirt. I wanted to do a t-shirt. I had a t-shirt company. I had this idea. And I remember telling a colleague, hey, someone, I said, I would love to do this t-shirt. I want to have this on the t-shirt. I want it to be this color, da da da. This person went behind my back 3 weeks later, did the exact thing, and now they're making a fortune off of my idea. It was a grit killer because deep down inside, I felt like, why even try again? Like, why even try to do a t-shirt idea because this person just stole from me? But I decided to forgive. I decided to let myself be held hostage anymore by that, and to move forward and to create other t-shirts about other ideas. It's just one of those things that you have to make sure that whenever you're pursuing a task, if somebody does take from you, that you have enough resolve to bounce back and to go at it again. So with that said, there are grit killers, whether it's people that come and steal from you, if it's people that just don't like you for who you are. You cannot help how you showed up in the earth. Like you cannot help certain features, certain, demographic situations around your life. And unfortunately, sometimes you're in sticky situations where people will make you, like, they'll punish you for things that you can't control. You showed up with black hair, you showed up with brown eyes, like, and they just can't, like, it's weird. It's really weird, especially in this day, but it's out there. And that can be a grit killer because you can say, well, why even try when they'll never like me, they'll never accept me because I'm different. But you've got to still put your best forward. You can't allow someone with a closed mindset, with hatred in the heart, to stop you from evolving into what I believe the Almighty has purposed you to be. Like you need to keep going in the face of hatred, in the face of thievery. You've got to keep going, and you've got to work at that resolve. So in order to build those grit traits, you have to definitely learn how to have perseverance and persistence despite certain things that you'll be up against, when you're seated at different opportunities. So with that said, I want to keep going about the power of persistence here. So it says, respondents rate how closely certain statements align with behavior, providing a score that reflects their level of grit. The measurement has evolved, making it more streamlined and applicable across different settings. Okay, so it says here, early studies, including those by Duckworth, found that individuals with higher levels of grit achieved higher levels of education and experienced fewer career changes. I think that's very interesting. Fewer career changes. That is interesting, because I guess if you have that resilience, you're going to stay no matter what. Okay. Anyways, so it says this suggests a strong correlation between grit, both academically and professional stability. I've been saying that forever. Since I've been on the grit train here, I have been saying that. So it says, for instance, grittier undergraduates often had higher GPAs despite lower SAT scores. Look at that. This is why it's not about what a student scores, but it's about their effort and their ethic, and if they're willing, right? If they have that ability to push through and to persist, like it's saying here. This is powerful. So for you educators, listen to that. Grittier undergraduates often had higher GPAs despite lower SAT scores. So she concluded that grit predicted retention better than any other criteria. I found that to be true as well. Definitely one of the factors in my study. Now, grit and academic achievement. Students with higher levels of grit tend to perform better academically. They persist through challenging coursework, and they maintain a better psychological resilience. That part. It's all about that psychological resilience. You know, and I think that when kids don't have the psychological resilience, they fall prey to feeling sorry for themselves. And they fall prey for feeling like they have been, you know, a victim of something, which, hey, they might have had an experience that was unjust. Listen, I've had plenty, right? I get it. But you still have to have enough resolve, enough psychological resilience. Okay, that is a powerful, I just want y'all to think about that. Psychological resilience, because this is what we need to start thinking about with our kids. And unfortunately, it's like, no, the kids should not have to think about that. Like, it should just be easy peasy. Students should just be able to go to school. They should just love their experience. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the situation for all students. We have to help them to develop a psychological resilience, because they're going to be dealing with life. Okay. The thing about it is we cannot just assume, you know, these students are going to come to school. They have two parents. They have, you know, high SES and all the, or socioeconomic status. Like, we cannot assume these things. We have to understand. See, we have to go from assuming to understanding the truth. Understanding that we've got mixed family dynamics. We've got like, you know, various socioeconomic statuses going on. We have grief. We have trauma. We have abuse. We have different things our students are dealing with. They need a psychological resilience to be able to still succeed in our classes and deal with life. Yes, even at age 5. Sometimes you think, oh no, Susie's not going through anything. Johnny's not going. Yeah, they're going through stuff. You know, and you know, they might be a little one, very little one, but they still have just as much of trauma at times as even some adults that we know. So we've got to work on building a psychological resilience so our students can persist no matter what as they're studying and, you know, as they're being successful in our classes. So let's keep going. So this says, alongside other non-cognitive skills. So you do need non-cognitive skills, by the way. Yeah. See, we assume that, no, you just need, you know, only academic skills to help you. But no, you need non-cognitive skills. So it says, like hardiness and creativity, these play a crucial role in educational settings. So for instance, students' perseverance in mathematical or in mathematics correlates with higher achievement, okay, showcasing the importance of grit in subjects that require sustained effort. So here's some research right here. Again, math people, students' perseverance, right, in math, it correlates with higher achievement, showcasing the importance of grit in subjects that require sustained effort. In our math classes, right, we have topics that build upon each other, whether they're learning about, you know, fluency, numeracy, or like all of these different things that students are learning about, all of these other, you know, and then especially when they're getting into algebra, geometry, and all of this, it starts getting more abstract and these concepts start building upon each other, they're going to have that sustained effort, which means they're going to need grit. Okay. So it says here, increasingly a growth mindset, right? Which is a belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning, also significantly influences grit. Look at that. The growth mindset, right? Which is, definitely backed. My research definitely has mentioned this. So it's saying that it's the belief that you have abilities and intelligence that can be developed through effort and learning that significantly influences grit. Okay. Now, grit in everyday life. This is what I love, right? Because I'm convinced it's for everyone. I really am. Every single one of us, needs grit. Okay. So, beyond academics, grit impacts various aspects of daily life. So, in health management, right, patients with higher grit scores adhere to better treatment regimens, such as diabetes management protocols, right? So then they have consistent adherence driven by perseverance, which leads into better health outcomes, right? They begin to work out, especially those people that work out and they start it just simple, then they lose that weight, but then they want to maintain, and then they turn into like bodybuilders. It's like, what happened? They're just gritty people. I love it. And they look great. Okay, so it says gritty individuals tend to cope better with stress and adversity, contributing to better mental health and well-being. Again, gritty individuals tend to cope better with stress. This is wonderful. This is a need in our schools when you're dealing with mental health. Give them grit trainings. Give them grit so that they know how to cope better with stress, and they know how to change their thought patterns, right, and to become more optimistic while they're dealing with the situation. So optimism plus that resilience it's powerful. It's going to help them to persevere and have a better outlook on life. And so let's keep going. So higher levels of grit are associated with lower levels of depression and anxiety and a higher life satisfaction. Again, higher levels of grit are associated with lower levels of depression and anxiety and higher life satisfaction. However, it's essential to balance grit. I'm loving this, y'all. It is essential to balance grit with the adaptive goal setting to avoid, overcommitment and burnout. Okay, I love this. I'm just loving this. Y'all got to excuse me because I'm really loving this. Okay, so it's essential to balance grit with adaptive goal setting to avoid overcommitment and burnout, which I have been guilty of both overcommitting and being burned out. I think I told you guys that I was when I was in my administrator days, I was a part of I was on my religious journey, and we would meet at the local church for prayer in the morning, and I had my two children, and I would meet with my children, and then I would go to school, and I would be an administrator. Well, I was so overcommitted that it was like clockwork. On Thursdays, my body could not move. Like, I don't know what you call that, but I was so involved in like church stuff and work stuff and, my doctorate, like it was like so much going on, and raising the children, that on Thursdays I would wake up and literally I could not move my body. All I could do was like move my head up, and that was it. Like, I was burned out, and I would have to literally call and say, I cannot come in. I cannot do anything. And it was not me trying to get out of work or anything. My body was having a reaction, and that happened several times to where I had to get it together quick. I had to start. Maybe I can't come to church every morning. Maybe 2 mornings, maybe 1 morning a week. I don't know. Doesn't mean I, had issues with my relationship with my creator. No, it's just I had to prioritize at that time management and make some decisions where I could still be an asset in both environments. And still be a mom that would be there for my kids. Sometimes I look back, I'm like, oh my word. I know many of you probably, that you had the smaller ones. You probably look back and you're like, how did we accomplish all that? Right? You were so gritty back in those days. So it's imperative that you understand there's nothing wrong with having grit and taking off, but you do have to pump brakes and balance. Okay. And then eventually get back, but you do, it's okay. And it's okay. It's okay to pump brakes and balance. And it's okay to love yourself, to have that self-care and say, I'm going to treat myself, get a massage. I'm going to just go and grab a healthy bite to eat somewhere. I don't need to report it to anyone. I'm going to take care of me. Like, it's okay. It's okay. And I think we need to do more of that, to be honest. I think the whole nation needs to do more self-care, because we have become so gritty. And then with AI and everything, I mean, we are unstoppable, right? But at the same time, we've got to learn how to take care of ourselves so that we don't burn out. Okay. So like they said, there has to be a balance between having grit and then knowing when to take breaks, knowing, how to have adaptive goal setting. So now, cultivating grit. Understanding and cultivating grit can provide valuable tools for individuals that are aiming to achieve lasting success. So various interventions can help foster grit, such as structured goal setting programs, growth mindset training, right? And resilience building techniques. Love it. Resilience building techniques. Schools and organizations can implement character education programs. Yep. Give me a call that include lessons on perseverance and long-term goal setting. Encouraging. I'm like reading this. I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what I've been trying to say. Okay. Encouraging participation in challenging extracurricular activities and providing access to mentors and role models can also enhance grit. Yes, my study does show there is a huge correlation between having a mentor and having that perseverance, that persistence for students. And so then it says, these approaches help individuals develop resilience and determination needed to achieve their long-term goals. So let's see what they say as a conclusion here. So the extensive research on grit underscores its significant impact on academic achievement, personal development, and professional success. Gritty individuals tend to perform better due to their persistence. So that is one of their traits, that persistence efforts and their long-term commitment effort to their goals. So having that persistence is a gritty trait, having a long-term commitment to your goal. And I'm going to throw in there too, knowing how to balance and having that adaptive goal setting. Like you have to have that because you have to reset. You can't just keep going. Anybody will burn out, right? Then it says, as research continues to explore the neural and genetic and underpinnings of grit, interventions can be refined to advance these skills in educational, professional, and personal settings, ultimately leading to improved life outcomes. Okay. So that was pretty cool. And again, this was posted by Isabel Brocas, PhD in biology, development, and behavior. Thankful for that. She did that. They did this on June 29, 2024. Very relevant. So that was pretty cool. And I think that, we learned so much there. I want to show one more little clip that I thought was pretty cool that kind of outlines just really quickly for us what grit is, how it works. So let's get to it.
Character traits such as self-control, passion, and perseverance. Many modern psychologists, educators, and parents now believe it's more important for success in life than good grades at school or an outstanding intelligence.
Did you hear that? So it's saying it's more important in life than school, outstanding intelligence. I meant than having good grades and things like that. Grit is more important.
At a Stanford experiment in the late 1960s, psychologist Walter Mischel put kids in front of one tasty marshmallow. The 4-year-old children were then promised another one if they had enough willpower not to eat the one in front of them. Then they were left alone for 15 minutes. Some kids hid below the table. Those who were able to delay their gratification got a second treat and many years later became more accomplished adults. They were more healthy, had higher test scores at school, and were socially more competent. Professor Mischel and the marshmallow test became famous.
That was good. And now, so that just makes you realize with that marshmallow test, that having that, delayed gratification is key. It it will pay off, as students are gritty, and as we, as educators are also gritty, and we have that delayed gratification of making sure that we're remaining as resilient as possible, and we're remaining as gritty as possible, so that we can get our students through. If that means we have to stay an extra 20 minutes, if we have to delay the gratification of coming in a little bit later, what do we need to do to help our kids? How can we cultivate grit within ourselves as leaders as well? It's something I want us to all start to really reflect on in this season. What can you do to avoid burnout? How can you have that adaptive goal setting, right? So with that said, let's keep going. I want to talk about one example, a person that just I thought about, and that person is Serena Williams. And I was like, when you become gritty, you become like a household name. You become someone that people can say whatever they want, but the facts are the facts. This woman here, they call her the GOAT, right? She's amazing. So let's look and see how her grit played off. Look how young she was in that. That's so cute. Anyway, it says, so she was eliminated from the 2022 opening, okay? And she told the crowd that it was a fun ride. That was in 2022. Now, she had been playing tennis forever. So let's look at her career. So it says here, Serena Williams' career wins. Let's just read about her. Okay. So it says, in the history of tennis, only one player has won more Gold Slam or more Grand Slam singles titles than Williams, 23. That would be Margaret Court at 24. In the open area, Williams stands alone. In addition to her 23 Grand Slam titles, she has won 14 women's doubles and 2 mixed double slams. She has won singles tournaments at Wimbledon and Australia Open 7 times each and 6 times each. My goodness. At the French and U.S. Open. She is tied with Steffi Graf for the most women's singles wins at Wimbledon in the open area. Okay. And her success led to the term the Serena Slam. It's kind of like Simone Biles and like all the new gymnastics moves. So now the term Serena Slam, which is when a player holds all 4 Grand Slam singles titles at the same time, though not in the same calendar year. She first pulled off the feat when she won in 2003. My goodness, right? And then she won at Wimbledon and U.S. Open and French Open, right, in 2002. She completed again. Do you guys get the point here? I mean, I can't even, articulate properly how much Serena Williams has accomplished, because she is definitely an example of grit. This woman was a beast on the court, and everybody knows she's the best. And I mean, the length of time she played, all those years, and she was winning like the entire time. The best. She's the best. And it's just one of those things. Like when you become gritty like that, it's just success just knows you, success. And you just continue to produce. And it's not to compete with anyone else. It's just continuing to evolve into a better purpose, a better person, right? You just become unbeatable, just like Serena Williams. So with that said, guys, I mean, this has been a great podcast. Shout out to Serena Williams. I didn't even go into all this. I mean, I can, pull this up again. This is just amazing what this woman has accomplished. It says here she holds 4 Olympic gold medals. 3 of them were won with her sister, Venus Williams, which shout out to Venus as well. It just keeps going. So in total, Williams has won 73 singles titles, the 5th most among all women's tennis players in the open area. She has only lost 25 times. My goodness. So in total, overall matches, she holds a career of 855 to 155 in singles matches. Oh my goodness. 192 to 35 in doubles, and 27 to 4 in mixed doubles. That is a total of 1,078 to 194. Oh my word. Do the math, y'all. Look at this. OMG. I just hope that this woman gets nothing but whatever she asks for. She put in the work. She's gritty. Let's try to be like Serena Williams. Let's try to be gritty. Let's try to continue to have that delayed gratification, but remaining optimistic, continuing to set goals, and to just have a purpose. Have a purpose in this life. You matter. Your purpose matters. Go make it happen. And as an educator, it's my hope that you're able to help also cultivate the purpose and the grit in all of your students and those that you are privileged to work with. So with that said, guys, thanks so much for joining me again on the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White. Again, this podcast will be featured on the Spotify and social media platforms. Check out my website when you get a chance, www.india-white.com, for books or blogs, or to schedule me for a speaking or a coaching event, professional development, a grit training, whatever you're wanting. Thanks for following me on social media. Facebook's Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123. TikTok is Dr. India White. I will see many of you coming up at the Minnesota School District training at NCSM, NCTM, ICTM, OCTM, ATM, and E, and beyond. Thanks to those that are looking at the Grit Mini Workshop. Give it a chance. Maybe you could do it for a PLC. And thanks so much for those that gave me the opportunity to be on that platform. And then, of course, I am doing tutoring right now. So please send me an email, india.white.123@gmail.com. Let's get your kids slotted for tutoring. So, guys, it has been a fabulous show. Thank you so much again for joining me. And until next time, stay gritty. See ya.